Chapter 11. More on MIT. Learning Objectives. After studying this chapter, you will be able to Introduction of MIT, create an app. But where do apps come from? They are built by people called programmers. Programmers create a set of instructions that tell a device what to do. They write the instructions in a special language called a programming language, so a computer can understand it. The instructions are also known as code, and another name for programmers is coders. MIT App Inventor is a kind of programming language that uses blocks, which look like puzzle pieces with words on them. The blocks fit together to make instructions that get translated into computer language so a mobile device can follow them. There are a few steps you'll need to take before you can dig in and start writing apps. First, you'll need a computer or laptop on which to design and write the code for your apps. Then, you'll want to try out your apps with a mobile device. To do that, you'll need to install an app called the MIT AI2 Companion on your phone or tablet, so you can load your projects onto your device and test them. If you are using an Android device, open the Play Store app and search for MIT AI2 Companion. You can also type this link into a browser like Google Chrome, http://appinv.us.ai-android. If you are using an iOS device, open the App Store app and search for MIT AI2 Companion. You can also use the link http://appinv.us/ai-ios. Click the button to install the MIT AI2 Companion on your device. You need to install the MIT AI2 Companion only once and then leave it on your phone or tablet for whenever you use App Inventor. If you don't have access to a mobile device or don't have a good Wi-Fi connection, there are other ways to test your apps. If you don't have a mobile device, you can use the emulator that App Inventor provides, which looks like the phone but runs on your computer's browser. You can also create and test App Inventor projects with a Chromebook. If Wi-Fi is an issue, you can connect a mobile device to your computer with a USB cable. To get instructions for these other options, open the AI2 Getting Started page, http://bit.ly/AI2-get started in a web browser and click on the instructions for the option you'd like to use. Once you have set up your mobile device, open a browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox on your computer. If you have a Gmail account, type this address into the URL field://http://ai2.appinventor.mit.edu. Now, all the projects you create will be saved under your account. When you log in, you'll see a screen with the latest information about MIT App Inventor and a link to set up instructions. Press the Continue button. On the next display, which has links to some starter tutorials, press the button on the bottom left labeled Start a Blank Project. You'll be asked to name your new project. For your first app, you can name it Hello, It's Me. Click OK. You will see your blank project in the App Inventor IDE. IDE stands for Interactive Development Environment, and it's what you'll use to make your apps. The app's Screen 1 component. In App Inventor, the most fundamental type of component that an app can have is a screen. In fact, every app must have a screen component which acts as a container for all the other components making up the app's user interface. When you start a new project, App Inventor automatically creates any empty screen components. Each component in an app must have a unique name that defines it. When a component is added to an app, App Inventor automatically gives the component a default name. The empty screen component that is automatically created in an app is named Screen1. It shows the Screen1 component as displayed in the viewer. Each time you add a component to an app, the component's name appears in the components column. Screen1 is listed in the component column. If you need to work with a particular component, you can select its name in the component column. Working with the properties column. The appearance and other characteristics of component are determined by the component's properties. When you select a component, either by clicking the component in the viewer or clicking its name in the components column, that component's properties are displayed in the properties column. For example, when the Screen1 component is selected, its properties are displayed in the properties column as shown in figure 11.3. For example, look at the properties column in figure 11.3 and notice that one of Screen1's properties is named title. The title property determines the text that is displayed in the screen's title bar, the bar that appears at the top of the screen. As you can see from the figure, the default value of this property is Screen1. The text that is entered from the Screen1 component's title property is displayed in the screen's title bar, both in the viewer and in the emulator or other connected device. This is shown in figure 11.3. In most cases, you will want to change the value of the Screen1 component's title property to something that makes more sense to the user. For example, figure 11.3 shows the viewer, the properties column, and the emulator after we have changed the title property to My First. Rules and conventions for naming components. When naming a component, you must follow these simple rules. Component names can contain only letters, numbers, and underscores. The first character of a component name must be a letter. Component names cannot contain spaces. Table 11.1 lists some example component names and indicates whether each one is legal or illegal. Table 11.1 Legal and illegal component names. Name, legal or illegal. Third test score label. Illegal because component names must start with a letter. Label into mobile into number. Illegal because into character is not allowed. Component's name can contain only letters, numbers, and underscores. Label contact number. Illegal because component names cannot contain spaces. Label underscore contact underscore number. Legal. Deleting components. If you add a component to an app and later decide that you don't want the component, it's easy to delete it. Just click on the component's name in the components column to select it and then click the delete button that appears at the bottom of the components column. Label. Another basic component is the label. A label component displays text on the app's screen. You create a label component by dragging it from the user interface section of the palette and onto the app's screen in the viewer. When you create label components in an app, they are given default names such as label 1, label 2, and so forth. Changing a component's name. A component's name identifies the component in blocks that makes up the app's code and in the App Inventor environment. When you create a component, App Inventor automatically gives it a name. In the designer, you can use the components column to change the name of any component except the Screen1 component. Here are the steps. 1. Click the name of the component in the Components column to select it. 2. Click the Rename button at the bottom of the Components column. 3. The Rename Component dialog box shown in figure 11.4 will appear. Enter the component's new name and click OK. In figure 11.4, you are changing the name of the Label 1 component to Label Message. Figure 11.5 shows the components column after the component's name has been changed. Create an app. Do you have relatives and friends who live far away? They might enjoy seeing your face and hearing your voice when you can't be with them. In this app, Hello, it's me, your picture will appear, and when the user clicks on it, they'll hear you greeting them. Prepare your assets. Assets are extra files, like images and sounds, that are part of an app. For this app, you will be adding two assets, an image of yourself and a sound, your voice. Start by finding a good digital picture of your face and saving it somewhere on your computer where you can find it later, like your desktop. If you don't have one already, you can take a picture with your computer. If you are on a Mac computer, use the Photo Booth app, take a picture, then under the File menu, choose Export and save it to your desktop. When you save the file, name it so you can easily find it again. If you are on a Windows computer, use the Camera app. When you take a picture, it's automatically saved in the Camera Roll folder inside the Pictures folder on your computer. Don't forget to smile at the camera. The second thing you need is a recording of your voice. Just go to the File menu and choose Audio Recording. If you use a Windows computer, you can record your voice using the Sound Recorder app. In both cases, make sure to save your recording on your computer so you can find it later. If you don't have MIT App Inventor already open, use a browser on your computer to open it up by going to either http://ai2.appinventor.mit.edu with your Gmail account or http://code.appinventor.mit.edu with your return code. Open your project. If your Hello It's Me project isn't already open, go to the Projects menu and select My Project from the drop-down options. 2. Click on Hello It's Me in the project list to open it. Your project should open in the Designer window, but if it doesn't, just click the Designer button in the upper right corner. 3. Add a button and a label component to your app by dragging them from the User Interface drawer in the palette to the viewer. 4. Now, click on the Media tab in the palette and drag a player component onto the viewer. No more. See how the player component drops below the phone image and appears under non-visible components. That's because the player doesn't show up on your app screen, but it's still an important component in the app because it plays sounds. 5. Add image and voice files to your app. Now it's time to upload your picture and voice recording to App Inventor. Find the Media panel, which is below the Components panel. Click on the Upload File button. Then click on the Choose File button. Locate the image of yourself on your computer and click OK to upload it. Then repeat those steps for your voice recording. Both of your files will then appear in the Media panel as assets. 6. Change the component properties. Click on button 1 in the Components panel and change the button 1 properties in the Properties panel like this. Height 300 pixels, width fill parent. 7. The next step is to find the image in the Properties panel and click None. Choose the image file that you uploaded earlier. Then click OK to use your image as the background for button 1. Once you choose the image file, The image will appear on the button in the viewer. Smart tip. Fill parent means to make the property, in this case, the width of button 1, the same as its parent. 8. Choose player 1 from the components list and set its source property to the voice recording file that you uploaded earlier. Then click OK to use your sound file as the source when it plays. This will attach the sound file to the player, so when the player is started in the app, it knows which sound to play. 9. Click on label 1 in the components list and change the label properties. Background color, choose a color. Font size 30, text, press me, color, choose a color. You've completed the designer option of your app. Now that you've added your components and set their properties so the app looks good, it's time to make the app work. 10. Click on the Blocks button in the upper right corner of the screen to switch to the Blocks editor. Smart tip. The designer takes care of the look and the Blocks editor takes care of the behavior. No more. For background and text color, choose whatever colors you like. Example. When button 1, click Do Set Label to Text to screenshot1.png. Let's recall. They write the instructions in a special language called a programming language, so a computer can understand it. The instructions are also known as code, and another name for programmers is coders. MIT App Inventor is a kind of programming language that uses blocks which look like puzzle pieces with words on them. The blocks fit together to make instructions that get translated into computer language so a mobile device can follow them.